Ooh, love that song. I
Oh,
love it. We should trademark that song. Woo, I
we
like that
can't.
song.
We can't.
Uh,
It's
uh,
a free song on iTunes. So
what did segue? Speaking of trademark, no, okay. Good
in
afternoon.
a way it is, because we're talking about anybody that knows me. Okay, wait, sorry, we didn't introduce ourselves. Hi, my name is Judge Vivian, and welcome to As the Law Turns. It is a legal show to just let you know that not all the law is stuffy and boring and white, suits and people, and a bunch of fun things like that. And we're trying to open it up and make you, just kind of express legal matters in a fun way. I brought on a judge who I love, admire, and had the pleasure of standing in front of for a while in Volusia County, who decided to retire. And then I was like, you can't retire. Like, who was that?
No.
And they asked her to join me. So she's going to give a little bit about herself really fast, too.
Now, I am Judge Dawn. I was a real judge for 14 years and a former prosecutor, former high school teacher. So when I retired, before I retired, Judge Vivian asked me to be a part of her brainchild, her creation. And I love it because the purpose of this is to encourage minority females to join this legal profession. And every week we attempt to give you just a little bit of tidbit, a little bit your whistle. And so maybe you can say, this is something in a courtroom and dress a certain way. So we encourage you to keep tuning in every Thursday, 7 o'clock, every Thursday at 7 o'clock.
Yes, so we are so excited. We are in season 2.
Yes.
And tonight we are talking about one of my favorite topics. Like, anybody who knows me knows that I am slightly a nerd. I mean, I think most attorneys range on the geek nerd.
We're on the spectrum. We're on the nerd spectrum for all of us.
Somewhere. Yeah. Someone actually told me the definition between a nerd and a geek and the other stuff. Apparently there actually is a definitive definition. I don't know. I forgot. I actually did look it up at one point, but I can't remember what it is. But I think I fall in geek or nerd. Anywho, we are talking about comics. I'm excited. Yay. I love comic books. I have seen every Marvel movie. This is my Marvel Comics Avengers Cup. And so we are talking about Marvel and the Avengers tonight.
And Marvel is a entity or group or a name, a corporation, correct?
Yes. So Marvel is a comic book corporation entity that, of course, gives us the beautiful characters such as Iron Man, Spider-Man, the Incredible Hulk, and all these great characters that we have been watching over at least the last 10 years. And the franchise, at least on big screen, started with Iron Man, played by Robert Downey Jr., and they started to add in others over time. And so now, unfortunately, the characters like Iron Man, Spider-Man, and those really popular characters like the Incredible Hulk that we've grown to know and love that are part of the Marvel franchise, Thor, everybody loves us some Thor. Ooh, he is so cute.
I digress.
They are up for grabs again. What does that mean? It means that when you have a creative work, I don't know if anybody's got a chance to see my page, but visit us because, we got a lot of information on there. Mm-hmm. Copyrights, trademarks, and any of those kinds of things are ownership rights over your works, creative works, or whatnot. The creative work of copyright, which is what Marvel has, Disney has, because Marvel and Disney have partnered with the Avengers over the last couple of years, is expires after deaths or once it hits public domain, things like that. Copyright can go bye-bye, it can vanish. or because it goes to new people, sometimes it has to be renegotiated when it comes to these kinds of contracts. And that's kind of what Marvel is in the middle of right now. Everybody knows the creator, one of the creator writers, Mr. Stan Lee, passed a couple years ago. And now his family wants to kind of revamp and rejoin with Marvel. But Marvel is set to lose the ability to copyright or to have that copyright, if I'm not mistaken, in 2023.
I think 2023. But you know what I really find interesting? We're talking about lawyers being involved in something that's supposed to be pleasurable, comic books and collecting comic books and fun. And that it really tells us and reminds our audience that lawyers are everywhere. They're involved in everything. How you drive, where you drive, what you drive, when you drive. Now we're talking about comic books. We're talking about you losing the ability to create Thor in another arena because I own Thor. It's mine. I can grow a beard on it. I can change his colors, but you can't do it because it's mine. The thing that should be so much pleasure and joy and bring laughter to the eyes of children winds up in litigation. I'm going to say because people are greedy, but I'm not going to go that far. This intellectual property trademark lawyers basically say, I have a right to create something and own that creation. And that's all I'm fighting for in this Marvel case, kind of, sort of.
Exactly. And so Marvel wants exclusive rights. And I don't blame them. Marvel has made millions of dollars off of this franchise. Millions of dollars off of Thor and the Incredible Hulk and Spider-Man. So why wouldn't they want to continue making those millions of dollars?
Well, as I said to Judge Vivian in the pre-show, Archie and the Jetsons and the Flintstones made millions of dollars when I was growing up. Millions. But where are they now? When I say the Jetsons, you all scratch your head like, huh? You bet.
Actually,
you know a little bit about Scooby-Doo on the fringes, Scooby-Doo trying to make a comeback. And in my generation, that's not Scooby-Doo's voice. It's different. But so all these millions of dollars, you stand to lose the continuity, because 20 years from now, when you're my age, you'll be talking about Marvel and Thor and Incredible Hulk as a thing in the past, unless someone is progressive enough to move on and to open it up a little bit and say, I own the rights, but I'm willing to sit at the table with you, created this, and give you a little bit of leeway, headway, maybe.
Now, don't get me wrong. The creator does have some rights into this. Stan Lee was pretty smart. He did get himself intertwined in this some kind of way. It's just that Marvel wants more because they are trying to create a they're kind of trying to change the comics up a bit, because like you said, they don't want to get lost in the comic of old, like you just mentioned about Scooby-Doo and Flintstones, which, by the way, there is talks of the Jetsons being redone in our time. But that's the little nerdy part of me coming out. So guys, this is like one of my dream cases. If I could have been an attorney on this case, I would have been so excited. Like I said, because you're combining two things I terribly love, which is the law and comics together. I'm drinking from my Avengers cup as we speak. So I think it's pretty cool that they're going back and forth right now. I agree with Marvel to some extent, though. What do we do with these characters if we don't own them? Like, I know they had an issue a couple years ago when it came to their ownership of sorry, I had to pause. When it came to their ownership of their other characters, and they finally came to a conclusion before it went up to the Supreme Court. And it literally almost got that far, guys. Like, it's such a big financial deal that the Supreme Court justices of the United States were going to handle these cases. That's just how much money and people and stuff is involved. I'm uber excited. I want to know what side this is going to fall on. I kind of think that, Marvel does need more of the rights in the family right now, in a way, because there's no one in
more
the
of the
family.
rights than the family? More of the rights than the family?
Okay. In a way, yes, because no one right now that we know of, and I'm not saying that it can't happen in the future, but no one that we now know of in the family is creating new comics. So is it going to die with them, just using the royalties of the old comics if they're not creating anything new?
Well, I thought the argument that Marvel wanted to control it and keep the family out of it.
Agreed. Yes, I believe that is what it is. I'm saying, okay, I agree somewhat with Marvel and say, yes, I think they should have more of the rights. Pushing the family out entirely, I think, is rude and disrespectful. Mm-hmm. But I do agree that what happens if they don't create anything and now Marvel becomes but unnecessarily the comics of old.
But that's okay. It's my family stuff. Just if I want to pour my coffee out because I want to, it's mine. I own it. It's mine. So if I want the comic to die, we can get into long arguments about free enterprise and this is America, and I can play my pipe and drum. But if I own the rights to Thor and I want to let Thor die or paint Thor with a tutu, shouldn't I be able to do that? It's mine. And the people that did not create it and no longer should own it, they're out of it. You made your billions of dollars. You stated your case, but now that expiration time is 2023. You kind of knew that 50 years ago when you did that, and it's done. That kind of brings me to Dorothy Harden's question. I love my segues. I am on fire tonight with my segues.
Let me put her question up so everybody else can see.
Yes. She said, what about dealing with HOAs, which is homeowners associations that do whatever they want? I'm not sure you guys would feel you in a homeowner situation, but it seems like they can do whatever they want and they're not governed by an agency or the government. That is correct 100%. So when I move into an HOA, I know I can't put my trash can out. I know I can't paint my house purple. I know I can't have more than 2 cars in the driveway. So I voluntarily entered into that contractual relationship. And the law is not to tell 2 adults to freely entered in a contract relationship, this is not good, this is not fair. I have equal bargain partner because I don't have to live in that HOA. I can live somewhere else. So no one made me live there. So when I sat at the table and read the contract, which I don't read because it's 27 pages long in fine print. But anyway, when I read the contract, the HOA says you can't have more than 2.5 children. I'm stuck with that. I can't go to court and say, well, I want 3 children. The HOA that I voluntarily enrolled in said I couldn't. Same thing with Marvel. I signed this contract that my patent ended in 50 years. And now because I made $1 million off it and I don't have a life and know what else to do, I want. No, Marvel, pack up your comic books and give it to the family.
I don't want to miss out on Marvel. I know, I get it. I completely understand what you're saying. And it is up to the family to make the final decision. You are right. But I just feel like so much will be lost if that happens. But I also think that there can be a splitting of the baby here.
Yes.
I know it's not I know it's very uncommon. We love these contentious battles where they go back and forth and everybody's
yes.
Fighting for their own platform and everything. But I feel like there could be a splitting of the baby here. We could pull a Solomon.
It's an odd thing, Judge Vivian, about practicing law. I know you want what's best for your client, but I know you want to make nice to the judge, make nice to the prosecutor. So I'm sure as an attorney on both sides, I know I've been there, it's kind of hard because you want Marvel to exist as a separate entity, but you're representing the family. And you don't really take on a case because you're passionate about it. You take on a case because there's a legal issue and someone asks you to do it and it's not against your ethics and morals, so you do it. I'm not a Marvel comic fan, but if they're going to pay me $1 million to say, I want the rights to Marvel comic, I'd be wearing a Superman costume in the courtroom. So
Superman is not Marvel, that's DC.
My bad. I'll be wearing a Thoris, not a Thor. I want a Thoris. And so that's an interesting thing about law. And one of the things I like about the fact that you started this program, we love that we do this every week. we talk about controversies and law and subjects and try to make it real to people and try to make them realize that everything that you do basically is governed by some lawyers in the background that have made a decision. I mean, the legislators do too.
Yes.
But when push comes to shove, you need a lawyer to kind of straighten your life out. Divorce,
yes. And I must say that I have said that before.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You are
adopting a child, speeding tickets, divorce, keeping your property, keeping your job. I did, I reached for immigration lawyers, personal injury lawyers, tax lawyers. Everything is so involved in law. That's why Judge Vivian is really, I love this thing, encouraging people of diverse backgrounds to get involved in that so you can represent other people and represent different ideas. And so I love this baby. I love this platform. I love this baby. And I love the challenge of what we're doing to people, trying to inspire them.
Thank you. So guys, post your comments. I wrote it down in the comments as well. Who do you think should get the rights? This is going to be big. This last time they went through this, I think it took almost 2 to 3 years for them to close, and they ended up settling outside of court. So it did not end up making it to the Supreme Court justices, but it was almost there. And I think that was pretty cool. The fact that this idea was almost there. I think 2 reasons why, though, it may have almost gotten that far was, as we talked about how big the case was. But for those who don't know what copywriting is ownership over your creative works, your creative ideas. So that's a poem, that is a speech, that is an art, as they are right now, the creation of the comics, their comic book character in and of itself. And you can get those rights so that you can license them out to people in the future to create these movies, such as Marvel has done. Because Marvel does not own technically the comic, the family does, because he's the person who wrote it and he's the copyright owner, Stan Lee and his family, and others. He's just one of the writers. So the copyright in the United States, however, does have some sort of expiration to it. From my readings, it appears that the United States is actually one of very few countries who have an expiration on copyrights.
Yes.
And I believe that possibly if this would have hit the Supreme Courts, that would have been addressed. I think Marvel didn't want that to be addressed, and I think that's part of why they settled.
I think that's interesting. You're talking about settle. When we were doing research, I didn't talk about this pre-show warm-up, but there was an image of Barack Obama, the past president Barack, kind of looking up, and it's kind of not a caricature. It's a shiny kind of picture, and some artist on the street did that. He just did a rendition, and apparently it became Barack Obama's like campaign poster, and it had hope at the bottom of it. And when the artist found that he was used his campaign post, it was a battle, but Obama campaign did not the right thing. I can't make that judgment. They settled out of the court, and I guess everybody was happy with whatever they settled with because it didn't become a big thing. But it's inadvertently you can do something like that, a painting and a drawing. Someone try to copy it, and then here we are. That likeness, your likeness made money. My likeness did not, and if I didn't copyright it, I guess I'm kind of stuck.
That's exactly what it is. And the thing, though, I must say about Obama's situation that I think should have been addressed, even though he was very, he wanted to, I think, represent the creator in a good light. So he went ahead and stopped using said posters. But I think one thing that should have been addressed was the fact that it was his likeness and image that was used. And a lot of times in copyrights and in gaining copyrights, that is one of the biggest things that is talked about, whether you got that person's permission to use their image, their likeness. And I think he would have had some arguments that he would be more likely benefited by it because it was his face.
That's interesting. Yes. Well, okay. Am I allowed to make money off of my Britney Spears picture that I took of her on stage? I don't know.
A lot of schools of thought say no.
Okay.
So I think that would
kind of her image, her image, her body, her personality is copyrighted per se. She doesn't have to have a copyright law. But the idea of she is Britney Spears or Beyonce or whoever's popular, that in itself is a copyright infringement if I lose their likeness to do something.
Yes. Well, not copyright infringement, but a lot of copyright people or people that try to use the image of another person lose the ability to copyright because they did not seek permission from the person whose image they were using. So that's what I mean when I say that. So for instance, there was a lawsuit. Oh, my brain won't tell me. There was a singer, I want to say it was Anita Baker, who sued for someone making and selling shirts with her face on it for a while. I think it was her. I may be misspeaking.
Wow. Wow.
Because it was her image and they did not seek her permission for said image. So there can be some talks about that. So yeah, I that's a different one in a little bit to me. This one's fictional characters, so it's a little different. But they are considered the quote unquote mascots of Marvel. So you could say that that's the image of Marvel.
Can we look at Dorothy Harden's comment?
Yes.
I don't know if it's a question, but it looks like interesting.
I knew of an attorney from NYC that wrote a book about the LSAT and someone stole his content and just changed a few words on it. He sued the company for millions and won. Yes, that's actually that's real. That's what we mean when we say copyright rights. When you copyright your works, you don't just give yourself the ability to create your own, that particular work. You give yourself to create any works you want to create outside of it. Then you give yourself the ability to give it a license so that someone else can use it in a different setting. Then you give yourself the ability to morph your own works. So say, for instance, if that attorney wanted to rewrite another LSAT book and make those same changes, that was his right to do, not someone else's right, because it was his original work. So that's why copywriting is important. We tell people all the time, people are like, oh, copyright attaches as soon as I create the work. You are very true. As soon as you put it on the medium or the platform, copyright does attach. However, copyright cannot be as well protected unless you go through the registry of the United States government. Yes. And that's why we express it so much as business attorneys. Yep, that's me. That's why we express it so much. That you need
nice segue.
Copyrighted, because in the long run, he wouldn't have been able to get as much money from that lawsuit. Mm-hmm. And he probably wouldn't have been able to have as much proof had he had not gotten a copyrighted work prior to his suit. So these things are so important. Let me see.
Can we say with Monica? Yes.
We have two questions. So let's go to do you know if he had a preference of what was to be done with his unfortunate demise? They don't state that in the article, whether the family has a will that says, whether he had already suggested what he wanted to do with his comics. So we can't say that, but I can say that the wills can help you govern. So that could have been a possibility to save the family from having to go through these legal battles.
Monica?
What was Monica's question? I missed it.
Children pictures, there you go. Like taking pictures of children on the age of 18 without a parent's permission.
Ooh, Slightly different.
Real different. I'm sorry. Not It's different. When you're out in open, there's no kind of right to privacy in your likeness. If you want to take a picture of me, you can take a picture of me. There's those. Now, if you want to make money off of that picture or use it in a commercial, you're making money. That's a different thing. But if I'm just out in the public, you're taking a picture, just like the Beyoncés, the whatever, the rappers and the star. You take a picture, there's nothing. I'm wondering why you're taking a picture of a child under the age of 18. Not you, Monica, but that would be my issue. Why a child under 18? But just taking pictures, there's no prohibition of law against that. I would be suspect of why you're doing that. But look, the other comment talks about YMCA got in trouble for taking pictures of children and advertising with those pictures. I don't think that's actually copyright or trade infringement. You're making money kind of off my likeness, and I kind of own my likeness. Like you can't take a picture of me and put a billboard up there. That's my likeness. It's a personal likeness. You can't make money. I teach like the Anita Baker. Put it on a T-shirt and sell the T-shirt. That's my likeness. Not necessarily copyright infringement, but you're making money for me. I don't actually know the lawsuit that I would bring. It was not defamation of character or slander because you're not doing anything libelous. I can't say interfering with business contract, but I'm sure, knowing lawyers, we can think of something to say, cease and desist, put my name on your shirt.
We gonna get you some kind of way.
No, we gonna get something.
I agree with Judge on that. I wouldn't consider that, at least from what I understand in your question, if they are out in the public, then no, that would not be infringement. You do not have rights in yourself when you're at a public event. You have basically just signed off and told, you've decided that, hey, I'm going to be at that public event, which means I can be filmed. But if it was the Gerber baby, you could have had some infringement because the Gerber baby has a contract with Gerber, and Gerber probably owns said rights to the pictures of Gerber baby. Mm-hmm. And, if it was the Gerber baby or one of the Gerber babies that's used, that might have a little bit more merit. Okay, so Monica also says YMCA got into trouble for taking pictures of children and advertising with those pictures. Yes. And certain entities like that can, for certain reasons, there may have been some kind of clause. It could have also be the fact that I know a lot of YMCAs are government owned. That's a whole nother streamline, y'all. We go. The law is a fun thing to be a part of. When I tell you that there are so many facets of it and factions, we could be here all night. This is why I had to film the show every Thursday, because we just didn't have enough time to talk about all the fun things.
And I'm wondering, Monica got in trouble, how and for why? Are the pictures borderline inappropriate? I mean, pictures children up the slide, down the slide, inappropriate, or the all white children, all Hispanic children, children in compromising poor condition, children eating bologna. I don't know. Just like Oprah Winfrey made some offhand comment about that's the last time I eat cow, and she got sued. So I don't know what the pictures represent, what they did.
But now that's an interesting suit that you mentioned there, because Oprah actually got sued because the beef prices had to beef sales dropped when she said that.
Yes,
that's why.
Yes. She got sued. Okay.
And that's basically they were saying she caused a detriment to them and a harm to them by saying she didn't like beef, knowing her popularity and knowing how her word can really sway an audience. Advertising photos for camp purposes.
Okay, you just like it's kind of related, kind of not. As a sitting judge, I shouldn't be pictured certain places because it gives the stamp of approval. This is a good place. Probably same with children. You're given a stamp of approval. This place is good and appropriate for children. And the children didn't go there. They make a decision. The parents didn't say, my child liked that. So I think there's a lot of, you leave yourself open to those lawsuits when you take pictures of children that have not attended that and the parents have not given permission. So you're saying to the world, my child likes this. Look, see how happy my child is, and the child has never been to this camp. You take a picture of a child in a swim park. That's inappropriate. It's false advertising also.
It's a number of reasons. We can't really talk about that one on the deepest level, largely because we don't know what the background circumstances was. As judges said, they could have lost on the fact that it was false advertisement. Yeah. We don't know what that suit was, but when you're talking about likeness and image in a general perspective, it's more so it does definitely have a hand when it comes down to artists because they're popular, and their face carries weight, just like Oprah ended up carrying enough weight. The beef prices had to increase because the sale of beef went down. So that's the funky part about how things work. But with Marvel, and in this particular instance, when it comes down to the Marvel characters and how Marvel is done, the reason why they're fighting now is because if the family decides that, hey, they want to own all of it and they don't want to do Marvel movies anymore, the drying up of a franchise that will happen. And it's not just going to affect Marvel, guys. It will affect Disney. It will affect most streaming services. It will affect Netflix. It will affect Hulu. And I'm naming all of them because all of them have licensing agreements some kind of way with Marvel. And because not even though a lot of the movies are on Marvel's Disney's platform, because Disney partnered with Marvel a couple years ago, Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime, several other shows stream them through their services as well. And we all know what the Disney lawsuit with streaming is going on with Scarlett Johansson's comic character right now. She's fussing because she says that it wasn't written into her contract that she should get money for the new streaming services, which Marvel should have known and prepared for, which I completely agree. That should have been in her contract. Marvel.
But the issue is, this is my father's Marvel.
True.
I want it stopped. You're not representing my father's best interest anymore. You're getting all gay characters, mixed marriage, whatever. My father was not about that.
But and he was.
No, I mean, let's say, you know, you represent, and this is not my father. And so I want to stop this. I'm sorry that streaming is gone down the drain. I'm sorry, but my father's reputation and dignity is much more worth to me than your $1 billion and the Netflix and streaming. Sorry, Disney, Netflix, Twitter. Sorry, this is my father, and this is precious to me.
Bruh, she done added in Twitter. I don't even know Twitter is a part of this.
I don't know. Twitter is just a word I just learned 2 years ago, so I had to throw it out there. So, because last week you called me old generation, so I was just trying to be hip. I don't know. Let me say this. So that's why it's important that. But look at this. Kentucky Fried Chicken keeps its recipe just as it is because it doesn't want to change.
But Kentucky didn't license it. Here's the catch, though. Kentucky didn't license out that recipe to other restaurants. Marvel's creators did.
Okay.
See what essentially what they're doing is, oops-a-daisy, you're making too much money off of my daddy's idea. When I first thought of stuff, I thought, oh, this would be cute. And now give me my stuff back because I want to be the millionaire. But the thing is, he's not broke. He is still a millionaire. Stan Lee and other creators do have, you know, some rights in this. So it's not like they're not making any money off of it. It's just that Marvel's saying, hey, we know that this franchise can continue to make us money for the next decade, that it has already made us. It will probably enter into the billions soon. I mean, look how fast Black Panther went. Boom! They didn't expect it, but Black Panther hit $1 billion in about a week or two, if I'm not mistaken. One of the highest grossing films of Marvel. So I know they know that's going to only increase. The unfortunate demise of who I think is one of the most amazing actors, Chadwick Boseman, has changed quite a bit of the Marvel spectrum. But I don't want to. I have to agree with Judge. I do think that it should be in the family, and I am all for the family. But I must say that as a fly on the wall and a comic book lover, and the adoration I have for the characters, I would be remiss that it would get set on a shelf for no one else to see. I agree that's the person's directive, but it would sadden me, I must say. And also, I told Judge before we got on during our little, what do we call that?
Pre-show.
That this would have been an ultimate dream for me to sit on this case as an attorney. You would be marrying two of my favorite things, the law and comics. I love to read. I love comics. I'm that, geek nerd, whichever one it is. And this would have excited me to no end. I've literally seen every single Marvel movie at least twice. Every single.
I have to say this. It doesn't matter if Judge Vivian is attracted to Marvel or not attracted to Marvel. She is just a good trial attorney. She's passionate. She's compassionate. She's good. People like her. And so either whether it's Marvel or some bonehead that got a DUI or some out of the bonehead something, she's a good attorney. And you become a good attorney by caring about people, studying hard, presenting yourself well, and being respectful. So she's good.
I paid her for that, y'all. I'm joking.
A lot. Big.
You have to really grease the palms for a judge
for judges
for 10 years, you know,
and to give up every Thursday night. No, but we welcome it. Thanks for our loyal listeners. Please continue to tune in every Thursday night, 7:00. Facebook and Twitter. I don't know how to get on there, but
we are on YouTube. I'm not on Twitter anymore, guys. I didn't love it so much, but we are on YouTube. We are on Facebook. I'm actually live right now. Hi, everybody on Instagram. We are on Instagram. Nice. That's why I've been looking this way, guys. So, and it has been a pleasure. We are over time, actually, because this conversation has been so exciting tonight.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your input. If you have things you think we should talk about, from law school to questions that you have to HOAs, what else? Because I heard that tonight. So I'm just like, we will be having attorneys come on. We will be having our own roundtable discussions. And as we said, we just like to have fun with the law, to let you know.
If we don't know the answer, we'll research, or we'll make it up. Whatever. We love it.
Yes, we just want to give you a more lighthearted approach to the law and not think it's so stuffy and, you know, pinned up. So leave us a comment, help us decide another show, and go and watch and share. The more you share, since you love it so much, keep sharing us.
Thank you.
We love you too. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Love you. Good night.